Alright, kind of a response video to Great Text, but I'll post it as a response video to a video by Dario, so in the box. It's a good video in the sense that he's just asking a simple question where he's trying to solicit people's personal philosophy. Not their psychology, not their personality, but some definition of their philosophy. What do they think the truth is in terms of our existence and its meaning, the net, the value of it, as a philosophical equation, not personal, subjective, yes, I like hamburgers kind of bullshit. It's got nothing in the comments section, so I don't think he's going to get any good videos either. But anyway, this is going to be sort of related in the sense of the conversation with Great Text. It's sort of, this is the subject. It's really, there's this perception out there that we're not allowed to describe reality. We're not allowed to define the truth. It must remain somehow forever a mystery, and I think that's just complete bullshit. So anyway, to the audio tape.
I can only listen to like maybe 5-10 seconds of someone speaking before it just lags out and freezes. So it's kind of annoying. I mean, I was really up for having a go at Inmendum, because...
Yeah, he says he's up for it, but, when we've been in Stick Game before, he doesn't seem to be all that up for it. There's no conversation we can have. He's not going to acknowledge the possibility, the existence of truth. We're supposed to assume it's always going to be a mystery, or that human beings are going to never be ready or capable of exercising their intellect and focusing it as a philosophical instrument, as a scientific tool for describing reality. It's always got to be a subjective. There's always has to be pollution from the personality into the philosophy. There's no such thing as a common understanding or a common definition of any reality. Everything has to be up to personal interpretation, and it's just bullshit. There's no, how do you have it? You can't have a philosophical conversation in that context. There's no point in philosophizing about anything if we are all allowed to just say yellow is blue and green is pink and pink is puce or whatever, and there's not going to be any common references, and we're not going to say there is any established reality.
What do you do for eternity in heaven? Obviously, and that was his nitpicking of what the idea of heaven is from a Christian perspective. And I was like...
Yeah, okay, well, he's basically saying I'm a hypocrite and that I'm nitpicking at Christianity. And that I don't like when people nitpick at my virtual reality thing, so I'm a hypocrite. And I don't think it's nitpicking at Christianity just to ask the question, what do you do in heaven? Why should I want to go there? Tell me, what's the deal? I mean, if it's going to be, like I said, if heaven is patting little kids on the head all day, yeah, send me to purgatory or hell, because that sounds like hell to me, okay? I really don't want to go there. If it's a nursery school, I don't want to go there. Fuck it. So, I mean, it's not really nitpicking to ask people who are saying this is reality to at least describe what it's going to be like.
He was talking about Gary's idea of virtual reality, and he put forward some criticisms about the aspects of the reality of it, and Gary accused him of nitpicking, considering that he'd just been nitpicking a Christian idea of heaven. So, fucking hypocrite as usual. But
yeah, as usual, right. So you wonder why we have a problem communicating. That's why we have a problem communicating. You first ignore when I say anything I would impose on people, I would impose through a consensus majority democracy. And then you just sit there and dress me up like, Stalin or Hitler or whoever you want to, some draconian force that's going to impose its will. And that's just bullshit. I'm having a conversation, I'm articulating ideas, and I'm defending those ideas. I am not stormtrooping on top of anybody. And that's just, so it's just bullshit, your characterizations. And then call me hypocrite, because, yeah, I don't see any point. The theoretical possibility of virtual reality is just, it's undeniable as a theoretical possibility. there's really no point in nitpicking the details of, well, who dusts the room that our brains are in, who washes or polishes the glass that the brain beaker thing happens in, or who's going to make the electrical conduit wire that's going to connect to our, I mean, well, fuck that bullshit. We really don't need to describe all those technical details to figure out whether or not it's a good idea or not. Okay, conceptually, that's all we need to discuss. So when some asshole's coming at me with the bullshit questions, it's nitpicking, gray text, and it's a lot different than asking a Christian what the fuck goes on in heaven.
The one thing that really irritates me about this whole virtual reality thing is that when Gary in Mendham speaks about it, it's like listening to a religious person to me. I hear a Christian speaking about heaven, okay? I hear a Muslim talking about 72 cyber virgins. That's what I hear when he talks about his fucking virtual heaven.
Yeah, well, that's because of your bias. So at least you're conceding that's what you hear. But that's obviously, I'm not talking from dogma. I'm not saying it exists because a 2,000-year-old book says it exists. And I'm not attempting to achieve it because it satisfies a deity or that it's part of a deity's plan. I am proposing it because it sounds like what a rational being would strive for, which is some notion of perfection. I mean, we're really just talking about as being beings. It's about the experiential existence of consciousness. I mean, we're just talking about what kind of environment consciousness ideally should be in, what kind of environment is suited to it. And to presume that the natural environment is suited to it would be rather idiotic, as crude forces would have no appreciation that consciousness even meant anything. So I mean, I see a huge difference between investing in 2,000-year-old dogma and contemplating improvements in the conditions for this thing called consciousness, this thing called experience, this thing called existence, meaningful existence. And it seems commonsensical to strive to perfect, to strive towards perfection, if not perfection itself.
Mendham is just another fucking reactionary,
What the fuck does that mean? Another fucking reactionary? What the hell does that mean? I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
How he thinks that it's justified. Is there any difference between heaven and virtual heaven? Even though heaven is virtual. But, yeah, is there any difference between the Christian idea of heaven and the virtual reality heaven?
What the big difference is one is a stupid lie. I mean, one is just a bogus, false story, promise, fairy tale, and the other is, a realistic, achievable goal of the human race. I mean, if there was a God and there was a heaven, well, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a paradise for consciousness to exist in. I mean, it's not fucktarded, the idea of paradise. It's fucktarded to say, let's just stay in the status quo. Let's leave everything kind of miserable and shitty because that's the way, that's the good way, that's the way to keep things. I mean, it's reasonable to strive for something better. Striving for it based on 2,000-year-old, fairy stories is idiotic. Striving for it by saying, well, let's improve the human condition and strive towards some better environment is rational. That's the difference.
Christians who believe in heaven believe in heaven. They believe that it's real. Just like Gary believes that virtual reality heaven will be real. There's no psychological difference there.
Well, there's a huge psychological difference, as I've stated, and your whole premise that Christians believe. Get real. We see what Christians believe. We see what they had. Their faith is micron thin. They have no confidence in this thing called heaven. They haven't even demanded a description of it, for Christ's sakes. How can you say they believe in something when they can't even describe what it is they believe in? Pearly gates? Like I said, what the fuck are they going to do with pearly gates?
But the psychological difference between a Christian believing in heaven and Gary's virtual heaven is zero. There's no difference.
Yeah, you're just repeating yourself, but it's not about psychological, is it? It's about philosophy. I mean, so you want to just keep turning everything into psychology, but no, there is a distinction. We have an intellect and we have a personality. Those are two different things. You don't like to make those separations, but those separations exist. You just have to sit there and acknowledge them. They're obvious.